Welcome to the Scoundrels of the Force, another episode finally back in action after a couple weeks hiatus. And yes, we come back with another lying thumbnail. But you know what? We're scoundrels, so that's what we do.
We got to get the views somehow. Bedore, she brings the views, so
she do. So we're calling on Laddie and say Bedore's going to be on, and she's not. Truthfully, Bedore was going to be on, but she definitely had her shot of vaccine. She's not feeling exactly up to appearing on camera, and so that's okay. We're here for her. She will return to Scoundrels next week, and we are long waiting her return. We love her. Hope she's doing well. She's feeling better soon. But that's okay. The show must go on, as a certain rock band called Queen would say. So I will introduce my fellow scoundrels that are here this week. First off, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Maddie Gunner. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, bro. And of course, the quoting the best Queen song ever written, I must add.
Might just be.
For Freddie to have sung like that in his dying days.
Oof,
which song are you talking about?
The Show Must Go On. Actually.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
I'll have to actually look that up. That's actually going to be a show on PLD Projects eventually. I'm starting to ruminate about that, doing a Queen show. But hopefully I'll hear about that sooner rather than later. But this isn't about Queen, although Queen doing a Star Wars soundtrack would actually be really kind of cool.
Yeah.
One of the few rock bands that probably handled the classic.
I mean, they did the Flash intro.
Flash Gordon. They did Flash Gordon. They did Highlander, another epic theme, but that's more rock. But I think they can make it work. I digress. That's another episode later on in the future. Who should do theme songs that's not John Williams? Don't say Hans Zimmer. Well, it should be Hans Zimmer.
I would never say Hans Zimmer for Star Wars. I would rather say Michael Giacchino before Hans Zimmer. There's something about Hans Zimmer he's not Star Wars. He's not Star Wars enough.
I had to throw it that way. If you guys haven't watched the show or watched me and Jarvi on Class Action on Action, it's just we have a bar of Williams versus Zimmer. So it's a little.
Who did the Logan soundtrack? Was it Marco Beltrami?
Yep.
I guess it is. That's right. That's who they did. Yep, that'd be a good one to do.
I thought he'd have a crack.
That'd be a good crash. It would be a good crack, actually, now that I think about it. I like that idea. I mean, Giacchino obviously did do the one Star Wars, except he kind of got the shaft a little bit because he only had like 2 or 3 weeks to actually do a score. So the fact he actually did the score for Rogue One, it was pretty impressive that he got that all done in like a couple of weeks. So
it's actually a pretty decent score. I've been listening to, I think it was something about father and daughter, some song. I can't remember the exact name of the song, but that's like a really good one.
Yeah,
people like to take a dump on the Rogue One soundtrack, but there's like good stuff in there.
It took me a little bit to Sean Sullivan. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, my dude, what's up, bro?
I will say that I actually liked. I think it was a little bit getting used to because it was the first time we heard like a non-Williams score for a Star Wars movie, so it kind of like seemed a little out of place, a little jarring. But I agree. Once I got into it, listened to it, was fine. I had some great moments in there.
Clone Wars wasn't very like Williams either. Like the animated Clone Wars, there was some weird music for a while. I was
there was some metal in there too.
And there was like some techno stuff or something. I was like, this almost kind of reminds me of the Mandalorian a little bit, but that's where this sort of thing started.
I haven't introduced my other guest here, my other scoundrel here, Richard Jarvi, my friend. We've been friends for a long time. We have a lot of similar views on Star Wars and some very different views on Star Wars. I'm glad to have you on board for this. You are my guinea pig. Just so everybody knows, Richard Jarvi has been very resistant to watching the animated Star Wars. So I decided you're gonna be on the show. I'm gonna make you do it. This is how I got him to do it. He's like, fine, I'll watch it. But how you doing, my friend?
Yeah. Well, I watched it, and hopefully we can, I would rather talk about the Snyder Cut.
Well, I will say the Clone Wars movie, which we're going to get into a little bit later, and that's what we're talking about today, Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie, is probably not the way to hook people in necessarily, but you got to have it as the basis for the rest of the stuff. It's one of those things that we'll get into a little bit later on. But there she is in the chat. Bedore, lovely to see you. What's up, Bedore? Lovely to see you. If you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation, you want to make donations, you can go to, of course, streamlabs.com/PLD projects. And, of course, now we also have merchandise. You've got to go to tpublic.com/user/PLD projects. I had mine still in the laundry. I didn't do my laundry. There's some Scoundrels of the Forest t-shirts, as well as PLD projects here. And here, Sean Sullivan's agreeing with you. He says you can skip the movie. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, but we'll get into that. We will get into that. First off, though, before we do anything else, I want to talk about some news in the Star Wars universe. First off, I'm going to pull an audible. I want to say, if you guys are watching me, you probably know that I'm a big fan of the movie Trivia Schmodown. And I'm not going to talk spoilers or anything like that, but if you're not a patron, you should be, and you should go watch that match from Friday night. Andrew DeMilano.
Haven't seen it yet.
Alex Damon. I know you haven't, which is why I'm not talking spoilers, but I will just simply say it is the greatest match I've ever seen in the history of the movie Trivia Schmodown.
And I will double down on that, because me and Paul were watching it together with a group of friends, and we were playing along. We were doing pretty well, yeah. I would say, but that was without a doubt, take away any division, that was the greatest match I've ever seen. And shout out to both Alex Damon and Andrew DeMilano. That was incredible.
And you know who else we have to shout out?
Overall Schmodown, or just Star Wars?
Overall.
Whoa, that's big praise.
Overall, like, it was that good, I thought. Yeah. Strap in, Jarvi. Strap in. It's a good one. It's a good one. And yeah, so do that. I want to just point that out there. And maybe next week, maybe then after everybody's seen it, we'll have a little more of a talk. Even though we don't usually do Schmodown talk on the show, it seems like that might be a good way to do it. Maybe we'll introduce that to the two Scoundrels of the Force. I'm really audibly on air now. We'll start covering the Star Wars division in the Schmodown, because why not, right?
I've been down.
We have some players in our chat who definitely have some insight onto that. As well, we'll have Sean on talking about it maybe at some point. I'll throw these up in the air. Let's get into what we've started talking about first, is the Star Wars news, more recent news. I use Star Wars News Net to curate a lot of my news, and you guys should as well. They're actually also a lot of them in this movie Trivia Schmodown. Lacey Gillerin was on actually on Call to Action last night. The channel that I work with that is basically Schmodown After Show, two-time award-winning Schmodown After Show. We had a great Star Wars night last night. It was myself, Billy Belford, and Danny Ramirez, joined by Lacey Gillerin, Thomas Harper, and Adam Witt. And we talked all about, we were supposed to break down the week of the Schmodown event, and we didn't get to any of it. We talked all the Star Wars matches. So much so that we're actually having a call to action live tonight, part 2, to break down all the rest of the stuff that happened earlier in the week. But yeah, Star Wars News Net is where I go to curate my news, and it's a great website, great podcast. So let's break some of the stuff down that I heard about. Not a whole lot. Big news drop this past week, but some still fun stuff. The first one I'll talk about, we have the first image of Fennec Shand, of course, known for the Mandalorian. This is what she's going to be looking like in the Bad Batch, voiced by Ming-Na Wen. What do you guys think about this? Seeing this, does it make you excited for the Bad Batch, or what do you think?
She looks exactly like she should look, in my opinion. Like
a little bit younger, just a little younger enough.
Oh, she's ageless. She's ageless. She doesn't age, so this is perfect.
That's very true.
Do me a favor, bring that picture up one more time.
Absolutely.
Any of you guys ever play Tomb Raider 2?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
She looks more to me like Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 old PlayStation 1 games.
It's the lips. The lips are...
The lips, the block hair as well.
Yeah. It is a bit blocky, though. You'd think the animation... Well, yeah, because that's kind of the animation style, but still, it's a little too square, sort of.
I don't know. Maybe it's not the final thing, but looks cool. I guess I'm stoked for Ming-Na Wen to have another opportunity to be in Star Wars. So
I will say that I'm glad it's happening as well. I got to be completely honest. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get into some aspects of Star Wars here and there. It's like Jarvi in a way. When the Bad Batch was initially announced, I think I probably made this mention. The Bad Batch to me was like a fine arc in the Clone Wars series. When they announced that was a new animated series going forward, I wasn't like overly excited.
Mm-hmm.
I was more like, well, it's Filoni, so I'm there because I love Filoni. But the Bad Batch concept itself is like, I could take it or leave it. It wasn't anything that got me really going. But more and more, as we get a little bit further, get closer to it. It's coming out very soon now. About a month little over a month away.
May the 4th, isn't it?
May the 4th is the first episode.
Nice.
And then, of course, that
So-
Friday. So 2 episodes that week. May the 4th on that Tuesday, I think it is. And then Friday, it'll start its actual weekly run of episodes.
So that's going to be after the Falcon and the Winter
Yes,
Soldier wrap.
it's
right?
actually
Oh
in
man, I love it.
between.
I love it that we're getting like WandaVision ended. We got 1 week off. We're getting Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then we're getting Star Wars. I love it. I love it.
And then throughout, yes, exactly. See, but Dora's where she wants to be. She's like, but Hunter. I don't know. It's not that I didn't like the Bad Batch. Though. It wasn't like I didn't like it. I just wasn't like overly. It wasn't like I was like, give me Obi-Wan Kenobi. Give me Mandalorian season 2. Bad Batch. Give me Ahsoka. Bad Batch. Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
That's cool. That's cool. But I did like the fact that we're talking about we're getting Ming-Na and we're getting Fennec Shand from Mandalorian. Oh, cool. Getting more of her backstory. That makes me a little more excited. The potentials of they're working with Tarkin and where we're going to go from there. I was like, okay, that kind of is more cool. Because we don't get a whole lot that's like just after the Clone Wars. So it's definitely a timeline. Even though we have a lot has been pushed forth between episode 3 and episode 4, we get a lot of stuff in that timeline. I feel like that initial just fall of the Republic has kind of been mostly untouched as far as the new canon goes. Not a whole lot has been done from that, especially from this viewpoint. So there's a lot of potential we can get from characters from the Clone Wars that we know and love and all that kind of thing. So that makes me excited a little more as I think about it. Who we can get in I got the Bad Batch themselves, like the initial characters, they're gonna have to do a little bit more to get me fully invested in their lives. But it's going to be all the side characters that might get some more Hondo and Naka. I'm all in if I get more Hondo and Naka. They seem pretty perfect for this kind of tale. Are we going to visit like Bail Organa at some point? Are we going to visit like everybody from the Clone Wars that we didn't get to see what happened to them after episode 3? So all that now, I get more and more excited. So how much excited on a scale of 1 to 10? How much are you guys looking forward to this one now?
Well,
You want to take this one first?
you want an honest answer, or
Yeah, no, I want your honest answer, Charles. Let's go on.
like,
I know
like about a 2?
No, wow.
Dude,
Okay.
like,
We've not even
seriously,
seen that.
you're gonna have to force me to watch it. Like, I can't, I'm really not a fan of the animated Star Wars stuff. I can't help it. I love Star Wars, but the animated stuff, it's just like there's no weight. It's too like everything's too light. It doesn't. There are no stakes. Everyone always makes it. You're like, I need more stakes. I need more weight. I need live action.
Well, you'll find out when I first watch everything. You'll get to it eventually.
That's interesting. I think some of the story in the animated series will change your mind.
I think so. There's some
Because
definite.
there are, especially when you have like the Mortis arc, like the stakes in that are pretty huge.
Although I will say maybe Rebels is going to be the one that's more forward Jarvi eventually.
I did
I
watch
think
a
so.
lot of Rebels. And I got into Rebels a bit more than I did for the Clone Wars.
Because Clone
So-
Wars does have the anthology feel to it. There are some important storylines. It does kind of go.
You know all the characters. You know that they're gonna have to survive because they don't die during that period. So you're sort of like, I'm going down a road you can't follow.
But it's okay. It's all right. I think when we do watch Clone Wars, by the end, I really do think by the end of Clone Wars, you'll be at least up to a 5 or a 6. I think I might have to actually have you skip some things though, because if we're gonna do Bad Batch, you might have to at least watch the initial Bad Batch.
Get me to
So
skip
you-
as much as
I don't-
possible.
It'll be temporary skip. It'll skip. We'll watch one and then we'll go back. I'm gonna force Jarvi to get it. You will love the Clone Wars, Jarvi. You will fucking love the Clone Wars.
This is not a good start, though. This was not a good start.
That is not a good start. You're not wrong.
To be fair, this was not the best start. But as for my I'm kind of at like a 6.5
Mhm.
at the minute, because I am really hoping for just Clone Wars 18. That's what I want from Bad Batch. I want it episodic. Like, what are they doing? What kind of crazy adventure are they doing this week? What kind of crazy shenanigans are they gonna have to, do? Is Echo gonna get on that plane? Does Echo maybe not want to get on that starship?
They got a drug Echo to get on that starship.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's go on real quick to cover the rest of the news before we break down the rest of the Clone Wars film. There, another big piece of news dropped. Indira Varma is joining the cast of
Wait,
Obi-Wan
say
Kenobi.
the name again.
Indira Varma.
Okay, good. That was great.
Good.
That's pretty good.
Of course, I know her. Maddie was talking about knowing her from Luther. I know her, of course, from Game of Thrones. The Sand Snake there herself. I think she's a phenomenal actress. As far as she's very powerful, very devious, very
seductive sort of vibe about her.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm very interested to see who she's playing in Obi-Wan.
Oh,
I want her to be a love interest to Mando.
What was that?
I would love her to be a love interest for Din.
Oh, in Mandalorian.
Yeah, but is she not in the Mandalorian? I thought she was
in Obi-Wan. She's in Obi-Wan.
Oh, my bad. Because I had the news open. Oh, okay.
But
my bad.
Jarvi is on the right track.
Okay.
Because Paul, you know who she's going to be playing, right? She's going to be Satine.
I think she might be. I don't know. I mean, we don't know that necessarily. We don't know that. I mean,
come on, dude. She's got the accent for it. She's around about the right age. She's what, 48, 49? She's in her late 40s.
It has to be flashback, though, obviously, at that point. It has to be flashbacks. But I don't know. Possibly. It could be potentially like that's the case. I'm not sold at 110% at this point. I mean, she's a Sand Snake. I think she could be a Tatooine resident, a net native who maybe Obi-Wan does perhaps have a love interest as well. Could be someone who reminds her of Satine. Reminds her of Satine in a way. So that would make sense as well. I don't know. There's so many different possibilities. I guess that's probably the funniest thing for us as far as Star Wars goes when they have the new cast members coming in. We're like, is this someone we know? Is this someone we don't know? And I mean, most of the time it comes off to that we don't know them, right? But I don't mind the excitement about that. Yeah, exactly. I think she'll be I do think she'll be a random character, but I do think that she might have more to it. I guess yes, that's one reason. Jarvi, close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes. Yes, that's what we're saying. That's why she'll only be in a.
But if we're talking,
okay, you're good, Jarvi. You're good.
All right.
If we're talking,
what just happened?
I brought up a chat. I brought a chat comment. I don't want you to see.
Oh, there were spoilers.
One spoiler. I don't want you to see specifically.
If we're talking Obi-Wan there's the whole thing going around that we could be seeing Obi-Wan potentially with PTSD.
Well, that's what I thought too. Like if she is that character, there's going to be a lot of flashbacks potentially. That's where Hayden Christensen might come in at that point. A lot of flashbacks. I see. Might get to see Ahsoka live action for that same exact reason. You to see, and that is actually one of the coolest aspects of the show, possibly for me, is getting to fall back and see some live action Clone Wars action through flashback, because that would be freaking sweet. It'd be some of the stuff we didn't get to see this time around because it was animated. Since we skipped from the Clone, basically the Clone Wars is all done. As far as episode 2, we did episode 2 and episode 3. We get very little actual Clone Wars action. All the animated stuff take care of that. So seeing Ewan McGregor in that capacity, that's very exciting to me. So
that's gonna be in 2022, right? The Kenobi series.
That's what we think it is. Yeah, it's filming. I think it's filming now.
Yeah, they restarted filming
it now.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's going to be 2022, probably the end of probably around this time. So I'm assuming about a little bit later on in 2022. So, but yeah, that's the news and Varma. I think that's exciting news. Anytime you have a good performer added, that's always exciting, no matter who it is, no matter what she plays. As long as she's a good performer, then I'm all on board. All right, so other quick news tidbits. The Mandalorian visual guide and the original novel have both been canceled, and that makes me sad. I'll be honest, more of the visual guide than the novel, because the novel to me was a part of the pun, but was a novel idea. But it seems like that was really bad. I'm sorry. That was really, really bad. And I apologize for that. But the fact is, we're getting the Mandalorian continued at this point. So we're going to see most of that, most of the important stuff of that visually anyway. I mean, I still wouldn't mind a novel from the Mandalorian era because at least, I mean, it's still fun to see more adventures from them. But like, kind of like the whole canon has been, when the novels are hooked to a property, you know that the most important aspects of that property are going to happen in the visuals. The novels themselves have lesser stakes, generally speaking, so it's not as fun to read to me. So I'm not like crying over the novel being canceled. I do want the visual guide though. I love those things. Those are my favorite parts reading into it. So, those deep dives into the visuals and stuff. Those are awesome to read.
I get canceling the novel. Like that I understand. Like fine. Like, take away the novel, but why the visual guide? Right. I don't get it. we have the book, The Art of the Mandalorian. So why cancel the visual guide? It's unless maybe they're saying it's cancelled. They're gonna wait until the 3rd, 4th, 5th season or whatever, and then put it out when it's got more stuff you can put into it. But I've seen a lot of people online talking about it because of Gina Carano, and I was like, I don't know if you could really cancel a whole visual guide just because of her.
The article says that nothing to do with the dismissal of Gina Carano.
Well, there we go.
And also, like, to me, the reason of this cancellation is weird. It's like both projects have been canceled due to the expansion of this universe.
Why would that?
Why is that a reason for? Do they want to use that stuff in like future episodes, or
that could be? It could be something in the novel.
Kind of a weird reason.
They touched on something with the novel. I mean, honestly speaking, the novel might be the perfect way to get Cara Dune out. Because let's try that. We separate Gina Carano from Cara Dune. Gina Carano, obviously, she got fired, and whatever you think about that, it was probably the right thing to do for the fan base and everything else, obviously. But the character of Cara Dune is someone who's now going to be left up in the air, as far as you know. That could be the perfect way to kind of like deal with her, give her a final story or something that gets her to some kind of death or whatever it is, kind of thing.
Agreed.
Something a good way to take care of that. So I don't know, man. That's something you could do. But again, I don't really understand the visual guide. It seems like weird.
I love the visual guides, so I'm like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, unless, like I said, they're saving it for later seasons because they're going to be bringing in more stuff, then maybe.
Maybe they want to wait till it's all over and then do the whole thing. Maybe that could be the way it is.
That would be cool.
Because I know they used to do a little bit. I mean, it's different from doing a visual guide for a movie. That's a one and done kind of thing. Then, so having the whole series in one go, that'd be kind of cool. So that's what they're doing. Either way, not great news, but we'll soldier on. It's not the end of the world either. So, all right, 2 more pieces of news. One, I'm going to jump forward a little bit. There is a character coming back in the comics who I was kind of surprised to see come back. I had a picture up here. I didn't upload it, but I'm going to upload it now in a real second. That's how quick technology works. There it is. Dirge is coming back to the comics in this Star Wars universe. Now, Dirge was in the EU, so it's one of those kind of characters. And I'm going to sidetrack here and say this is the reason why I think that people got to chill out. Started to chill out, I think, about the canceling of the EU and the elimination of the EU. It's not like they actually deleted the EU. It's all still there. And a lot of the Star Wars creators are fans of the EU, just like we all were. So you don't think when they come into a project that they're not going to like cherry pick some of the best stuff from the EU and bring it back into canon? They've been doing it all along. Thrawn's a part of it now, and I just like Dirge, who is a fun bounty hunter character. I'm so excited he's back. I'm happy he's back. He doesn't have a lot of stakes to him. There's not a lot of stories to him. But he's just a badass. Anytime you add a badass motherfucker to a galaxy, that's a good story. I know, Jarvi, you've never read anything about Dirge or saw Dirge, probably.
No, but and I'm also having a hard time. He's an alien, right? Not a sort of like a Grievous type character who's like almost half droid or something.
I'm pretty sure he is an alien because he's like 2,500-year-old bounty hunter.
Yes.
And he to kill him, like, this is kind of like just going way through the story. It took throwing him into a star to kill him. He's that much of. That's why I love him, because he's like so much of a badass. And it took Anakin Skywalker essentially throwing him into a dying star to kill him. I was like,
like, it sounds like Thanos.
A little bit, not quite as powerful as Thanos, but he is pretty powerful overall. He hates Mandalorians, at least as far as the Legend one did. He's a little bit insane because he's been living for so long. He's been through so much like torture and tragedy and stuff. He's mentally unstable at this point.
Hated Obi-Wan.
He hated Obi-Wan. He got some missions from Dooku, but again, eventually in Legends, he was killed by Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. So that's the thing too. You can kind of correct that now. Obviously, War of the Bounty Hunter isn't taking place anywhere near the Clone Wars era, so it'll be a new introduction, probably a little bit of a new background. But I kind of feel like they don't stray too far from the original the original incantation of the individual. So we're gonna get probably a similar backstory. It would be a little bit different here and there, but it's cool to bring them back. It's more to me. It's more the fact they're bringing back another EU character than Dirt itself. Dirt is fine. Dirt is cool, but I want to get more. I just want to get more. I'm still holding out. I'm still holding out for the insertion of Talon Card back into the.
Oh, yeah.
My boy, I love him so much, and I so missed him. So I keep hoping every time I look at Zahn, I'm like, how many Thrawn books are you gonna make before you bring the Talon Card back in? Come on, man, come on,
It's got to be at some point. One character I want to see in live action, and he's been getting a lot of love from. I see the Force Center guys giving him a lot of love. Star Wars Explained giving him a lot of love. The world seems to be falling in love with Geode.
Yeah.
Like the world seems to be falling in love with just this rock, and the fact that one of the best lines in that book is how Geo didn't say anything, but he told me everything I needed to know. And it's like is Geo the new Baby Yoda?
If he would brought to live action, he seriously could be not quite that hype, but I think he would be actually a favorite character. I think people would watch him. It'd have to be like I could see it totally done on camera tricks. Like every just done a big camera trick. Every time they go to him, they kind of like do like a tilts and like you have to like just look into it more. You gotta look into it. You're like, what the fuck am I looking at? But yet I get it. I get it. I don't know why I get it. I do. Oh man. All right. Anything more on Dirge? We can move on then to the last bit of news. Disney Plus is getting all. Speaking of EU, Expanded Universe and Legends, Disney Plus on April 2nd is getting a shit ton of old non-canon stories now on. So people who have never seen some of this stuff get a chance to look at it. We're getting both Ewok movies, The Caravan of Courage and Ewok's Battle for Endor. Which I actually have a soft spot for because I mean I was like 8 and 9 when they came out. I actually taped them off the TV and like watched them back all the time. Especially the second one, Battle for Endor with Wilford Brimley and Cheek, the little fast like the like flash little beast that runs like a super. They're actually cute movies. I mean, obviously they're for kids. If they're definitively for kids, but they're still fun. And getting kids to watch that, it'd be fun stuff to watch, especially if it's like remastered now and everything else. You can actually see them.
Are they remastering them, or is it going to be the original?
I don't know. I'm wondering. But it's got to be at least. It's going to be at least be better quality than my VHS tape from 1987.
Okay.
So for that, very least, I mean, I could probably download and buy good copies if I did, if I wanted to. But if it's on Disney Plus, I feel it's going to be at least decent enough quality. But
have you seen the Ewok movies?
I haven't seen it. I've seen the holiday special now, both of them.
Well. The holiday special is nothing compared to the Ewok movies. The Ewok movies are actually a lot better than the holiday special.
Okay. I was like, well, everyone knows the holiday special is terrible, but I was thinking if the Ewok movies kind of run in the same vein or not.
I don't think. I mean, they're definitely more. No, actually, to be honest, I was kind of think the Ewok movies ran more into the almost more like Willow in a way, like in terms of like. I mean, it's not even a little less stakes than Willow. Obviously, not quite as epic. Definitely kid related. But it was more like a fun kid adventure than it was. It wasn't like the holiday special was more like a Sesame Street version of Star Wars in a way, but like not as great, not even as good as that in a way. The Ewok Adventures are just fun, childlike adventures, but good stuff though. I liked it enough. Maybe I got some rose-colored glasses. It's been a long time since I've seen them, but I'll be honest there. But Bibiani, what would Bibiani did put you into the
doesn't Harloff hate them? Like Harloff hates the movies.
I'm sure he probably does. Like I get well, if you're looking for a real serious stake-filled Star Wars, then yeah, I get it. They're not gonna. That's not what you're looking for. But I mean, as far as like they are kids, and it's fine. But it's okay to have that sometimes. But either way, but it's not like they're long here, so give it a shot. But I'm sure at some point we'll be covering it on here because we're going to cover everything on here at some point or another. That's why my plan is to do everything at some point.
So everything. So that also means the holiday special. If you're saying everything.
I may wait till Christmas so I do the holiday special. Why the fuck not?
I'm down.
You know what? Because the holiday special, I will say, added a couple things to the canon or Legends canon, whatever, that actually still hold true to this day. That's where we got Life Day from, I should say. That's where we got Boba Fett made his first appearance.
Yeah, that's crazy though. That is crazy.
the gun that Din uses appeared first in the holiday special. His big long gun there, they use holiday special. So there's stuff there that has actually held up to a degree.
Now I think about it, like the pulse rifle is one of my favorite weapons, and the fact that we don't get the pulse rifle without the holiday special, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I used to think it was.
So there we go. So eventually we'll have a day where we can, probably shit on most of it, but we'll look into the holiday special anyway. But that's a little long down the road. But also got coming up there, we got the I can never say his name. Jendi say his name for Maddie. You don't talk about
Tchaikovsky?
Tartakovsky. I always horrible about that name. Jendi Tartakovsky, Samurai Jack guy. That's all I gotta say. He does Samurai Jack. Awesome, legendary animator. He did, of course, the original Clone Wars cartoon, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 were 23-minute episodes, and Volume 2 was 15-minute episodes each. Very different animation style, total a very different tale between episode 2 and episode 3. There was actually, I'm pretty sure it aired either right after episode 3 or right before episode 3 came out.
I think it was right after episode 3 because I distinctly remember watching those because I loved Samurai Jack growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Samurai Jack. And seeing that the same guy who did Samurai Jack was doing Star Wars, I was like, oh, hell yeah. And there's a really good one in particular where you see Anakin take the Jedi trials.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. There's a couple of really good episodes in there. It definitely got some interesting takes on the Jedi as well. Like the whole Mace Windu versus a million droids. It's almost like they have the Jedi powers are a little over the top as far as that goes compared to what we see in some other the movies and the Clone Wars cartoon. But at the same time, it's a definitely unique, interesting look at it. I actually have it on DVD, but I haven't watched it in forever. Let me see. It actually aired between 2003 and 2005. So that's what that was. That makes sense to me.
I remember there was one, and it was the first time that I was ever truly terrified of General Grievous, as the one where the ship crashes, and I think it's Plo Koon.
Yep.
And I can't remember who the other two Jedi are, but he's hunting them down, and it's like a proper horror movie, that episode, because he's stalking them, and they're in this crashed ship, and they're like, oh god, when is he gonna come? When is he gonna come? And he's slowly killing them off one by one, and it's oh boy.
And one Jedi is basically
Grievous is bad, man.
One Jedi is based on Shaggy. He totally looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
It was Shaggy. It was they made it to Shaggy. Something like that's what the Star Wars is. I can't remember exactly what it is now. It's been so much longer. It did. It was actually aired between episode 2 and episode 3. It was a way to kind of really update it. Yes, I think Shock 2 was there, I believe, as well. Shock 2 was there, I believe, as well. It was a great series. It was a great series. And it's not very time consuming. So it's a quick thing. Like I said, it's a 3-minute episode. So it's about an hour. It's an hour of the content kind of thing. So it was very cool. So those are coming up. Finally, also, we got Star Wars Ewoks Season 1 and 2. That's actually a cartoon even I didn't really watch when I was a kid. So I don't know much. I actually might take this shot because I have that it's going to be on for free. I might take a shot actually say, what the hell? Why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ewoks.
Absolutely.
It's got to be entertaining to someone, right?
Absolutely.
I've never watched it, but I'm sure maybe someone in the chat has watched it. So,
and but we'll get into that more. I'm sure it's definitely to me, for what I saw from the animation, kind of reminded me of the old I don't know, Shirt Tales or those kind of young children's stuff that would be probably cute, nothing else. But what the hell? It is, it is on YouTube. Yeah, I know, you're right. It is on YouTube. It's definitely different when it's on Disney Plus. It's going to be better quality. It's not actually just a rip from something. But yeah, it's interesting to see. The last thing they're going to put on there before we get into our breakdown here, almost an hour or half an hour in the show, we got to get into our breakdown soon enough. The Story of the Faithful Wookie, which is the animated part from, we just talked about, the animated part from the holiday special, the first appearance of Boba Fett. They're putting that on separately, it looks like. I guess they don't want to piss George Lucas off because George Lucas has tried to basically deny that the holiday special even ever happened. He's trying to destroy every copy of it ever. But it's kind of the one part about it that everyone's been oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see Boba Fett's first appearance. I guess they're going to put that on as a short, just the animated part. But that's the weird part about the holiday special when you watch it. It's like this, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, like in the middle of it, just have this little animated section of Boba Fett before it goes back to the regular back on, on Kashyyyk. But so I'm glad to have that actually a separate thing, because I don't have to search through B. Arthur Sheen to get to the story of the faithful Wookie. So April 2nd, more content. But the one thing I will say about that at the end is that the fact that we're getting all this legacy content on Disney makes me very excited, because that means there's a lot of stuff that could come that we can see, and maybe more items, the droids cartoons also that's not out there yet, which would be cool I think to see. Although they're out there, maybe they're out there already. I haven't had a chance to take a look.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are either. So. But that's not another series that's out there at this point. And more content on Star Wars, the better, and more bang for our Disney Plus buck, because we're already sold in on Disney Plus. We have Marvel and Star Wars both owning our soul, so as might as well get as most content as we can.
In Filoni and Feige, we trust, right?
Very true. Very true. Filoni and Feige, 1-2 combination, right there, and a little bit of Favreau. So it's always the Fs. Feige, Filoni, and Favreau. That was the other thing actually did the news bit that they was kind of a non-news story, so I didn't really put it in there, that everybody keeps trying to tie Feige into Star Wars. Like they try to rope him in over and over and over again. Like they say, oh, what does Feige have to do with the new Disney Plus Star Wars series somehow? And Feige has to actually come out and say, I got nothing to do with anything going on over there. I'm doing one movie. I forget who's writing. The guy's writing it now, but that's all I have to do with that. I'm not running the show. Kathleen Kennedy's running the show. I'm not doing anything with the Mandalorian, except for staying up till midnight Pacific to watch it. That's about it. So I think people really want Feige so bad to take over. Some segments of the fandom want it so bad they're trying to will it to happen. It's not going to happen, guys. I mean, I'm excited that we're getting Feige to do a film for the Star Wars. That's cool enough for me at this point.
And I think
we have our Feige. We have Filoni and Favreau is our Feige.
Yeah, I don't want there to be like too many cooks in the kitchen, because Feige would have a great idea, but say that great idea didn't mesh with Dave's great idea, and right. Dave is the second. If touch on wood, it doesn't happen, something that the day that George transitions, that
becomes one with the Force,
happen soon. Who's going to be the direct descendant? It's going to be Dave.
Dave is the direct descendant. He is the Padawan, because he is the master now. Pretty much, he'll just be up to the High Council at that point. He'll be the Grand Numero Uno at that point. Storyline wise, at least. I still love the fact that he's getting more and more opportunity to actually do more live action stuff. He's doing the animated, the Bad Batch, and everything else, but I think he's going to eventually start doing more and more live action. I think we're going to get a movie from him at some point. I can't wait for that. He'll
be on camera as well, as long as Favreau has his say. Favreau's always trying to put him in front of the camera.
He's a great X-Wing pilot, the Wolf that he is. All right, let's get into it. We've put it off long enough, Jarvi. I'm sorry to say. Let's now break down.
Let's keep going, buddy. Let's keep going.
Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Okay. I'll talk about my initial reactions. This was announced. They announced I believe now this is going back, back into the mid 2000s, and that's kind of a long time ago now. It's scary that's a long time ago. But what happened is that they announced this project, the Clone Wars. They were announcing that Clone Wars was being developed, as was the Underworld show that they were developing, a live action Underworld show that they were developing. That Rick McCallum talked a lot about. They had a bunch of scripts. I know we talked about it before, that the guy from Battlestar Galactica had written some episodes and things like that. They're both concurrently going on. And I admit I was more excited about the Underworld than I was about the Clone Wars when it came out. Mm-hmm. And then the cartoon actually obviously made its way as further along, was going to come out first. I said, okay, that's fine. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, it wasn't just a TV series; it was going to be another movie. And I was like, "Wait, what? What's going on? What's going on here? What's happening? We're gonna have a movie out of the cartoon series, okay?" And then it wasn't until later on which I realized that it was not really a movie. It was, we're taking 4 episodes. We're just going to stick them together. 4 episodes, stick them together, and put them in the movie theater. and boy, does it feel like that. So, what were your thoughts initially, Maddie, when you before you saw? What did you see? Did you see it in the theaters?
No, I saw it at a friend's house on a bootleg DVD. On a pirated DVD was the first time I saw it
The
because
Prop does not condone anything like this. Just so you know, whoever
no,
listening,
no,
but
no, this is solely the actions of me. Um, it was because my buddy was like, "Yo, I got and I think I was like 17 at the time when it came out, and my buddy was like, "Hey, I got the new Star Wars movie on DVD." I was like, "What Star Wars movie?" Like, I had no idea this thing was even happening.
right.
My buddy was like, "Yeah, there's a new Star Wars movie out. You should come over and watch it." I was like, "Okay." I didn't even know there was a new Star Wars movie, and I'm pretty clued in on my Star Wars, so okay, I'm gonna go over and watch it. I watched it, and my first reaction, I hope you guys are ready for this. I hated it. I hated it.
You actually hated it, or you
I,
just
I I hated it. I was like, what is this? Like, I don't care about the huts. I don't care about like why is Count Dooku essentially just standing back in the shadows? I wanted like Dooku to come out and be the man and like really be the villain. And I think it's obviously where like I disassociate myself from Dooku a lot. I like my villains to have like really come out of the gutter and be like really inherently evil, whereas Dooku was always kind of just that little like pawn. Like he was never really he was a villain, but he wasn't necessarily a bad guy.
Well, I don't know if I completely agree, but I
Yeah,
know
I
what
mean
you're
like
trying to say. I know what you're trying to say. He was a bad guy. He definitely was a bad
he
guy.
was a bad guy, but like he wasn't like full of hatred and vitriol to where you're like, whoa, like he wasn't really intimidating.
Right.
And I like my villains to be like really intimidating, like Maul,
Physically
Grievous.
intimidating. Right.
Yeah, essentially, not like a guy who was brought up in a castle and
Right.
you know, full of privilege.
I get
And
that.
I was just like, I don't like this. I'm never gonna watch this again. So, like, I just completely like
Okay.
threw it to the wind. But then I came back a few years later, and I was like, actually, this ain't bad. I think it was because I was pretty young. Like, I was just like, I was still in my teenage years, so like, cartoons to me were kind of like they're not cool to watch anymore.
I get that.
So it was like, yeah. But then I came back to it, and I was like, actually, this I was unfair to this. Like, this is pretty good.
I will say the same. Like when I watched the movie theater, I kind of watched and was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm watching at this point. Like, this is like, okay, so we have all these weird storylines and all these things. And part of this, I will say, part of this, I think, has to do with the problem that we have with any media. You see it in Star Wars all the time. You kind of saw it in WandaVision a little bit. You have these preconceived notions, and the best properties always lead you to invoke your own imagination on where the things go. You fill in the blanks yourself, and then we get what happened as far as storyline goes, and it's not your vision of what happened; it's Dave Filoni's vision of what happened, or whatever in between. And you're kind of like they don't mesh. You're kind of like this is not right. This is not what I thought about. My story is better than this. This is bullshit. And you kind of got to get over that to a degree, and you can. You definitely can. But my first thought process was exactly the same. Like I just didn't understand what was going on. So like there's so much weird stuff with it. Like I mean, we're going to get into the specifics about it, but the initial things that I had a problem with honestly was Ahsoka. I was like, how did we not hear about Anakin Skywalker having a Padawan?
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
This is what I wanted to ask. This is the big question for me is like, what is this timeline exactly and how does it tie into the universe? Like how in Revenge of the Sith we'd never get any mention. He's not even a master. How can he have a Padawan when he's not granted the rank of master?
Well, Obi-Wan was a Jedi Knight when he trained Anakin.
Aren't you supposed to be a Jedi master to have a Padawan?
Nope. No. You don't have to be a master. You can be a Jedi Knight and have a Padawan.
But your Padawan's calling you master.
You are their master, but you're not a Jedi master.
Yeah, that feels.
That's
really
weird.
I get it, but that's confusing.
I get that. It is confusing to a degree. I understand that. But there was precedent set, so that part necessarily didn't bother me as much. It was more like the fact that, like you said, like she's never mentioned. Although I will say, jumping forward, that by the end of the Clone Wars cartoon, you will get it, and they did a good job actually making it a thing. Yeah, master is a formal rank. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's what Project Tech thought is a formal rank, and that's true. He's never made a master, but he was a. But yeah, the Padawans called him master for that reason.
Yep.
But either way, there was that, and also the other thing I really hated. I still, honestly, will say I hate to this day. I still hate to this day the Hut kid.
No,
Stinky.
that's Baby Jabba. That's Baby Jabba.
Stinky.
That is what.
Okay.
Dude, I don't think we would have gotten the Mandalorian Baby Yoda without this movie. This is the start. This is initially Mandalorian put into an animated movie. There were so many parallels. Like Baby Jabba was Dave. Baby Jabba was Dave.
First off, how dare you, sir? Invoke the name of Dave and put him to that little. Was it
Stinky.
Punky Muffin?
Stinky Punky Muffin. Oh, that was pretty bad. But you know what? I'm very interested to hear you talk. Jarvi has as everybody knows now, Jarvi has a very unique view on this. He just saw this the first time an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. As a fan of Mandalorian and everything else, I'm very interested to hear your take on it. Okay, so I already said that I didn't like some aspects of it. I'll get back to why I actually don't mind it a lot now either. I've gone back. I will say I've gone back now, and after the Clone Wars cartoon, I definitely can go back and appreciate a lot more about this. We'll get into that a little bit. Jarvi, you tell me your initial thoughts on this.
Before even like the overall thing, I want to talk about the fact that everyone seemed to, and you said it as well, you're not a fan of Ahsoka in this movie, and everyone called her sort of what they called Hayden Christensen and Anakin, like whiny, sort of annoying, so forth. But to me, she was none of that. She wasn't. I was expecting for her to be annoying. I'm like, okay, is she gonna do something that's gonna piss me off? Or no, they seem to vibe with Anakin, and I totally get I love the fact that Anakin was given a Padawan sort of. This I think would have, because this storyline was brought forth after Revenge of the Sith. I feel like this, if they would have included that storyline a bit sooner, we would have gotten a more interesting downfall of Anakin altogether, because she feels like she sort of brings Anakin more towards the light side. Well, he's not unraveling at this point anyway, but he sort of has these tendencies of going to the dark side. She's bringing him back more. She is the reason she's his rock, sort of.
You're not wrong, and it's great to hear you say that.
Yeah,
and I think you have the benefit. You're the benefit of having, even though you haven't seen a lot of it, you're the benefit of having this has kind of been the overall arc of the Ahsoka love. At this point now, Ahsoka is one of a lot of people's favorite characters. A lot of people love Ahsoka. They don't even barely remember this. And I think you have the benefit of that, knowing how much she has meant to the franchise now, comparatively. Because you're right. Even going back now and I watch it, Ahsoka doesn't annoy me nearly as much as she did initially. And I think now, because I know where she's going, that kind of helps. At the time, the very first time you saw her, I think part of it was the idea of like, well, this is stupid. Like, Anakin never had a Padawan. This is ridiculous. I don't want to say anything about this. And it's this little punk girl. She's almost like a Jar Jar Binks annoying kind of thing. She's all it's Sky Guy and and you're like, what the fuck is this? Although
Sky Guy and Snips thing that annoyed me. And to be fair, the reactions that we've just given, we know people on the internet that had a lot worse reactions to Ahsoka. I'm not going to bring up certain names on this show, but we know that there's people out there that probably like nearly had a brain aneurysm over seeing Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Is that because of this movie or because she gets worse in the series?
Because of this movie.
This movie.
Okay, weird. Because she wasn't annoying to me at all. It could be also the fact that I saw like the first time I saw Ahsoka was in like The Mandalorian. That's when we get like the older Ahsoka, that sort of balanced Ahsoka. So in a way, I was like, she had already become one of my. Because the Ahsoka episode is by far my favorite Mandalorian episode. Like it's better than some of the movies. So I was already like, okay, she is one of my favorite characters already. So maybe that's the reason why she didn't annoy me that much in this one.
Right. And that makes sense to me too, because you saw the older, mature Ahsoka. And you said you've seen some Rebels, so you probably saw some episodes of Ahsoka in there as well.
I saw Rebels to the up until Darth Maul showed up and started messing with Ezra.
Okay, yeah, so she made a couple of appearances there. And
I love Maddie's face. Yes, we got them all mentioned in here. Yes, yes.
Yeah, the series is what made people love her. Like, you got to the point where, like, it
Yeah.
wasn't like her. And the great thing about it, I will say through, is that Dave Filoni came out and told, actually, she told the story later on. She's like, people are going to hate you. They're going to hate this character first, just so you know. This is going to be a very hard thing to do, but if we stick with it, they're going to go with you. They're going to go on this journey with you throughout the series, and by the end, I can guarantee they're going to like you. Ash 16 has told that story, and Dave Filoni was absolutely right. The series took you on a journey with her, and you're kind of like, you fall for her. By the end, you're kind of like, damn, this is an awesome character. This is a great addition to the Star Wars universe. To the point where literally, if you ask almost every Star Wars fan of the day, she's probably at least in their top 10 of characters that they want to watch. Want to see more.
She's in my top 5. She's definitely in my top 5, and it was the series that made me fall in love with her, especially seeing her go to. And I know, like, I'm gonna get. Of course, he said this. Seeing her go to toe to toe with Darth Maul. It was like, I was like, damn, like she can really, like, go, like, not
they
just
never
this.
overpowered her. And that's the good thing. They never overpowered her. Like, whenever she fought somebody, it was kind of a case of, okay, ooh, she's gonna get her ass kicked, and she probably did kind of not get her ass kicked, but she didn't, like, she was definitely on the defensive against Maul. Gets to go, and she has a sparring thing with Anakin at one point. There's some other things where she's fought some people, and you're kind of like, okay, but she's holding her own. That's you want her to hold her own, and she does that. That's what's great.
She almost got her, like, she almost lost to the electro staff. What are the droids called with the electro staffs?
The Guardians.
The Guardians, yeah, something like that. Because she
okay.
almost gets her ass kicked during the 4 of them when she's holding Baby Jabba.
Yeah, that's right. It's very true. That's very much her youngest part of the days. But so I guess going through it now, so we should bring us back to actually the movie, because we are going to break down the Clone Wars cartoon. We're going to make Jarvi watch it with us. Not with us, but we'll do it small.
Good luck getting me to watch it.
You will watch it. You'll watch. All I'm asking is, like, an arc at a time, so 3 episodes in a week. That's it. That's all you got to watch.
I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna do my best.
You got to get through, like, and I got to tell you, I know this is a tough ask, but by season 3 is where everybody starts solidifying itself. I feel like the first 2 seasons, it does kind of stumble. It's some good moments though, but it's kind of like it's finding its footing. 3, 4, and 5. I mean, season 5 is some of my favorite TV of all time.
There lies the problem. You have to watch until season 3. Like, what the hell? I don't want to watch, like, 2 crappy seasons and then finally get a good season. I want a consistently good show. Like, this is why the first episodes, I've been like 3 times I've been trying to start Clone Wars. I've gotten halfway through the first season. I'm like, I'm not going to continue.
Okay. We'll skip the crappy ones.
The filler episodes.
So when it comes to, like, Maul being brought back and all that stuff, that's when it's like, okay, now we're getting into the good stuff.
The juice is worth the squeeze, Jarvi. You're just gonna have to trust me on that.
All right,
you have to trust me on that.
I'm gonna trust you. One weird thing I gotta ask: when I started watching the Clone Wars movie, the Warner Brothers logo comes up, and I'm like, this is wrong. What is this? Like watching, like, a weird fan cut or something, because I'm used to getting the 20th Century Fox either, or just, Disney Lucasfilm. What is this?
Yeah, it was an idea that, because I think they were doing the Cartoon Network was doing the Clone Wars.
Yep, I think you're right. It started on Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network. So when that was the case, when they decided to make that a film, because Lucasfilm owns everything, and Fox has never owned anything. I think, I'm not entirely sure on that, but, like, I know. Pretty sure basically Fox only held the rights to distribute it. So they had the right, every movie George Lucas went back to Fox to distribute it, because that was always the relationship they had. He had never had a problem with Fox and everything else. When it came back to more this, they already were doing Clone Wars cartoon on Cartoon Network, which is already a Warner Brothers area. So I guess you use Warner Brothers to distribute it because it made sense. That's really the only thing. But it is a little funky. That did throw me too. I was like, what the fuck? What's up there, Danny Coast? Danny Coast, Legolas.
Danny, what up, dude?
And then, yeah, maybe Jarvi would like it more chronological. That's
Well,
how
wait,
we're gonna watch
so
it chronologically.
this is another thing. Is the show not chronological?
The first couple seasons, it's
So
fucked
you
up.
are, geez, this is already losing. Like, why? Just
I get
make
it.
make
I
sense.
get it. You know, theoretically, quite frankly, honestly speaking, before you watch the movie, we should have had. There's 3 episodes that take place before the movie. But those are, I mean, that's only one arc, so we're not doing. After that, when we watch the Clone Wars, we'll watch it chronologically. I'll tell you which episodes to watch, and it is weird. I don't even know the necessary story behind how it happened. I think it happened with production order and stuff they were doing, and it was so anthologically based that it's kind of a weird transition. They eventually stopped doing that. I know season 3 is pretty much in order, minus a couple of things. Season 4 is like all in order. Season 5, I think there's one episode out of place, so I don't know. Like it kind of like they chose to do that for a specific reason, but I always watch it the way it's supposed to, the way chronologically it goes. So it was kind of like I want to see what happened back then. It's like almost like a prequel of what happened, but we're gonna watch it in order. The arc we'll watch is everything we'll watch. I have a whole list of how it goes. I usually add most of 3 episodes arc, 4 episodes arc. I'm gonna sit down and watch every single one, and there's some that are good. Most of them are good. So we'll break into it. There's enough to break into to talk about. That's the thing. Talk about the lore involved, everything else. That'll make you happy.
I think as well, Jarvi will like the ones where it gets into the more like political thriller kind of stuff.
So the thriller stuff, and there's some Jedi lore stuff, which is good too. Some Jedi Sith stuff that's very cool too.
All right. Yeah. I just want to say I feel like I'm coming off kind of like the hater and in this episode in particular, sort of like I just want you guys know that I'm kind of, because I love Star Wars, but I just
You're the Padawan
stuff is like, just tough for me, and that's why I'm kind of blowing it out of proportion. I don't want people to think that I don't celebrate Star Wars. I celebrate Star Wars, but this is just something that I'm having a hard time getting behind the animated stuff.
I know you, and I love you, and I know you love Star Wars in your heart, and that's why I want to push you to watch it. It's one of the things that's specific with this. So we'll get there. But let's get back to the film. We're talking too much about the overall.
Let's do this.
Let's get back to the film itself. I will say I went back, and the Battle of Christophsis is actually pretty fun. It's pretty fun to watch. I love
that where they start off the shield sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like that seemed to me, now that I go back and watch that seems very much in line with everything I want like about Star Wars. It's the full-on Clone Wars battle. You get Anakin and Obi-Wan doing their thing. You get the sense right away that they're like 2 of the biggest heroes in the Republic. Like they get called, but they're trying to call them back to do stuff, but they're taking care of business. And we get the introduction of Ahsoka, which is a little annoying at first, but now I go back, I'm like, okay, it's not that bad, not that bad. But I gotta tell you, I want to really come back to there's my favorite line in this movie. A little bit in this movie that didn't mean as much to me when I first watched it as it does now. And it's after Ahsoka does her thing, and she is very much being a young, impetuous youth, kind of like a Skywalker in a lot of ways. Right to Anakin's face, Anakin gets to see what Obi-Wan sees in him a lot of times. God, no, Jesus. And at the end of the day, they sit down. And like Ahsoka's all kind of depressed, a little depressed. She's like a little downtrodden about what happened, and he's upset. Anakin's turns to her, and like, you'd never make it as Obi-Wan's apprentice there.
Yep.
Pause. You might make it as mine.
It is mine.
This is exactly why it's a brilliant move by Obi-Wan to have her as Anakin's Padawan. It's like he sees his own flaws in her, and that already makes him more mature.
Yes, and that's exactly. It's Yoda has that mindset too, and Yoda has it right away. And they're like, kind of like, what? I didn't. What? And I'm like, I can't. And they're like,
there's the bit where they break into where they first go into the monastery, and the protocol droid comes out, and then she holds her saber to him. She's like, I forget why they call it, but like, I want to have one of these, and like she holds a lightsaber to him. She goes, I'm a Jedi Knight. And Anakin just gives her the look of like, no, you're not. And she's like, I will be one day.
One day.
Like you just see like this smirk on Anakin's face. There's like, okay, like this kid is me.
Exactly. And I love right away that this establishes also the relationship between Ahsoka and Rex. That is paramount to like the rest of Ahsoka's character. Like they are intertwined throughout the Clone Wars, throughout Rebels, throughout every aspect of the life except for Mandalorian yet. So far, we don't know. They might see him. I would be surprised if we get to see Rex in Ahsoka series or whatever. I mean, he'd be very old at that point because of his aging thing. But their characters are very much intertwined, and even to the point where like you get the line later on in Rebels, that same line, experience outranks everything,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I guess Rex is made like you might be a Jedi, but you're not in control of me. I mean, technically you're a Jedi, and I have to guess the Jedi, but I'm going to teach you some things there, Missy.
I've actually used that line when I've because like sometimes I'll like teach kids classes like for MMA and stuff, and these kids they'll come in, they'll be like, oh, I saw Conor McGregor do this thing, blah blah blah, and I'll be like, you're not ready for that yet.
Right.
Like you have to learn your fundamentals first. Like,
Right.
but I could do this, and the amount of times I've said to listen, experience outranks everything,
Right.
because that is like you go to any job, you can say like you can bring in
Can't
a
say
new,
that in the military though. my experience as a private outranks your general.
like say you get like a 9 to 5 office job, right? And this new manager comes in, they're a brand new manager. They have all the qualifications under the sun, but they've never actually managed a team before. And you have someone that's been at that company for 10 plus years, knows everyone there from the CEO down to the mailroom. Be like, listen, like you might outrank me, but I know this place better than you.
Right.
So maybe listen to what I have to say, get the experience, and then you can start telling me what to do.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate that. You're on what you should watch from Clone Wars with us as well, Danny. And Ryan, you're right. We're going to get into that as we get into more of the Clone Wars series. So, because eagerness and arrogance and her growth is the real reason of the love of the Clone Wars. Yet, that's two things about the Clone Wars cartoon: it's Ahsoka's growth and also the deepening of the Anakin Obi-Wan bond. The episode 3 fall makes a lot more, is even more in depth and intense. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. By the way, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I've got a few more things we'll talk about like towards the end before we wrap up the episode. After the Christophsis is that's where the division takes place, so to speak, because that's where the episodes divide, I believe. I'll be honest, I watched the Christophsis stuff more than I watched the rest of the stuff. Like I said, Stinky Jabba not bothers me, but like annoys me enough. But there is some cool stuff there. You get to see stuff. We get to see the Dooku thing get Asajj Ventress, which is always a very cool character. I love Asajj Ventress.
Great.
Did you know Asajj Ventress, Jarvi? I can't remember if you had seen.
Yeah, I've heard of, and I think she was. No, wait. In Rebels, it was the. What are the names of the Inquisitors or
Inquisitors? Yeah, that's the.
But I've definitely seen her, and I know her character. I don't know what she's actually like, but I've definitely, because I've heard the name so many times and I've seen her. Like this wasn't when she showed up, she was exactly what I already known about her.
She first showed up in the Clone Wars cartoon that was directed, but I can never say his name, so I'm just gonna say Samurai Jack guy. That was when she first showed up, and it was just like, oh, she's cool. She's got the 2 red lightsabers, bald head. It kind of looks like the singer from Skunk and Nancy, but the Sith Lord version.
That's very true. That was actually one of the best parts about the initial Tartakovsky series. There was a great episode there where Anakin and Asajj Ventress kind of had a little duel, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah, she gets in this as well. She has a great series run in the Clone Wars. It kind of starts here, really starts here, and
she's sort of the big baddie of this movie, because more so than Dooku. I know like Dooku and Anakin have this like big fight at the end, but she's still way more menacing and sort of like the more sinister presence.
Yeah, no, that's very true. She's the one that's actively taking care of everything, and she. That's the way it always is. A lot of times you don't see Dooku doing a whole lot. Even during the Clone Wars cartoon, he's there, but he tends to be more background overall. A couple episodes here and there, stuff with Hondo specifically. I can remember that I liked. But we'll get into that.
Let's call it idealist.
Yeah, I think part of the reason is, and this is the problem. Again, we're going into the series itself overall, but I kind of have to mention Dooku. I feel like they did a lot because they're kind of forced a little bit into a box here and there. Between what you saw between episode 2 and episode 3. Like, for example, one of the things that they pretty much tried to do but had a hard time doing was Grievous has a line about Anakin being in episode 3, about Anakin being like shorter than he imagined or something like that. So it's like, oh wait, they haven't actually met, and like it's like weird because they try to do that, and I don't know if it's actually successful during the whole Clone Wars. I don't think Anakin and Grievous really have a one-on-one like they talk about Anakin talks about Grievous all the time, and they've been not having a one-on-one confrontation. I don't believe I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
But similarly, last time, like Anakin Obi-Wan, the last time we met, it was I was much younger. My powers have doubled since the last time you met me, kind of thing, and everything else. It's like, well, yeah, well, that was not. I mean, it's probably intended to be episode 2, but in this film, we do have Anakin and Dooku fighting here, and they do have like some battles later on. So I guess Anakin's powers double much quicker than we know at this point. But I mean, it's one of those things that you have to have a little bit of forgiveness when you're trying to insert something in between. Things like that are going to take place, and you got to have a little give and take before you judge it too much. I mean, some people get really tied up in those kind of little details. I don't. I tend to be like, all right, that's fine. I'll let it go as long as you get a good storyline going. But that was what we have here: was Dooku and Anakin getting the first time they get to meet since then. And it's good to see where Anakin is already. Already, he seems like a little of a better Jedi at this point, more in control of himself already. That's why the difference in his stance, his attitude in a way, it's not quite as he's led a little bit at this point. He's more of a leader than he was in a day. So, but
I think it's really interesting that fight took place where it did, in the sand deserts of Tatooine, because Anakin later on goes on to not only kill Count Dooku, but replace Count Dooku. And where did his fall really start to take place? Was when he goes back to the deserts of Tatooine.
It's true. It's very true. Always that way. Always. Tatooine is the heart of the Star Wars universe, no matter what goes on at this point. The last part I'll talk about, and you guys can do some last thoughts about it, is the Padme storyline, which also bothers me a little bit. I don't mind the storyline itself. I like getting her involved. It seemed like she was kind of shoehorned in to make sure she had an appearance in this film. Even though I guess it probably wasn't the episode the same way, but that's how it is. Sometimes they get some characters get sidetracked. But this is one of the other reasons I didn't like this movie either. And one of the characters I don't like in the Clone Wars at all is Zero the Hutt. Oh,
Thank you. I was like, he was the Jar Jar. Everything about him was like, what am I watching? Like, this made me want to turn it off.
Yeah, it's just like Southern boy, like Boss Hog kind of character from General Dukes of Hazzard.
Boss Hog.
That's pretty much what he is. It's Boss Hog, like in an alien form. He's so fucking annoying. I'm not gonna lie. It's the one thing I can't get over. And he's in a couple more episodes in the series. I know I actually shouldn't tell Jarvi that because he already is struggling to want to watch. Not many. There's not many. Like 1 or 2 arcs that he's in. But yeah, I will fully admit that. It's another reason I don't watch the second part at all. Because I can't stand him at all. It's based on actually Titans is the best, right? He was based on like Truman Capote, but it was just so bad. So yeah, we can talk bad about Star Wars, but still love it. So we're not gonna. I won't like condemn everything about it. As one character, I don't need to revisit ever. If we never see him again, I'm more than happy about that.
Zero to me was kind of like a perfect example of, we can say that Star Wars is for everyone, but that character ain't. If anyone in the
That's true.
If anyone in this chat can honestly tell me that Zero the Hutt is a intriguing character that they would like to see more in depth, maybe get their own series, you're a liar and a charlatan.
The thing is, I will bring it back a second, and I'll say this: that the idea of the character itself is something I probably could get on board with to a degree. It's just the voice and the way he speaks completely kills any hope of it. Like having a relation of Jabba behind the scenes, like almost like an on the run Hutt who's kind of trying to work with behind the scenes. I don't mind conceptually the idea. God, that execution! Oh man, God, that execution! It's amazing how a voice can kill something, and that completely does it.
They should have just have like Jabba's whole family like not speak English, like because Jabba doesn't speak. He only talks through a translator, and that works. The sort of like giving his uncle that voice and that accent. I know accent is not a good excuse actually, because we've talked about Bill Burr and like his Boston accent. That's like the galaxy is big. The accent shouldn't affect us that way, but in this case, it's off, and just have
What
him
accent even is
speak Huttese. Just
It's like southern. It's kind of like southern type accent in a way.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of southern, a little bit of
Because-
like a lisp to it, and it's just. A little bit
he's not
funky.
intimidating, because Jabba's
Right.
intimidating because he speaks through a translator. He only speaks. It's Huttese, right? That he's speaking.
Yeah.
So that makes him way more intimidating. This is just like
Guttural
what
voice
is
for
this?
Jabba.
I think they kind of wanted him to be the shit weasel, but he's not even a very good shit weasel.
No, he's just annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
The less we say about him, the better. Obviously, it didn't work. Sorry, Dave Filoni. I love you, brother. I love you, and I trust you as the future of the Star Wars knowledge. But this was not the way to go for this particular thing.
Yeah.
And I
Just
don't know
ain't
if
the
you
one,
told.
Chief.
I don't know if you told the Zero actor the same thing as well. Actually, I signed that people are going to hate you and eventually love you, but you would write one of the two times, if that's the case. But I'm betting he didn't. I'm betting he knew. Everyone has a little mistake, and that's okay. But yeah, that's it. That's it for that. I don't want to talk about Zero anymore.
But I do want to know why you didn't like. Why did you guys dislike Jabba's son, like the larva kid? Like he's just the cute. Like he's pretty much like Grogu, like Dave.
Jarvi. Come on.
No, but that's pretty much the essence. He's
There's
sort
a
of
character
like the
called
same...
Stinky. They were calling Stinky. That was the whole thing. I'm kind of like, it just was annoying.
Yeah, Punky Muffin. Like, why would a hot crime lord call anything?
Jabba you just said Jabba's intimidating and growl. Remember?
Yeah, but that's just a name. That doesn't change the character in essence.
You even have Obi-Wan laughing at him when he says the name. He's like,
Punky
Muffin.
Oh, definitely. But wait, was Zero the Hutt in the Phantom Menace?
No, you're thinking of Gardula the Hutt was in the Phantom Menace briefly. Gardula the Hutt was in the back of when Jabba was running the pod racing scene. The thing there, just Gardula the Hutt.
I just had a thought. I just had a terrible, terrible thought. With the High Republic, we're going to see how the Hutts came into power in the Outer Rim. So we're probably going to get some mention of Zero the Hutt in the High Republic.
Maybe.
I do want to know how Jabba. What's his like the race called that Jabba is?
The Hutts.
The Hutt. I thought that's just like a sort of like a creed.
No,
that's not a race.
Okay,
because I want to know like how, because he had to start off like doing stuff himself. He couldn't have just have a henchman right on hand, right? Because right now he's just like a big worm that's just sit there and sort of eats and burps. But how does someone like that start out? Like, was he a badass at some point, or did he just have henchmen from the start? But you can't have henchmen. You got to start doing shit. You got to start off doing things yourself.
It's probably more like family money and
family now.
But how do the first ones like? I'm going to talk about BVS. The first generation of Waynes, they were hunters, gatherers. Sort of, someone has to start doing something. They just can't be royalty from the start. Someone has to take power the first time.
You want to tell that to my country's royal family?
I'll talk about
someone took power.
Here you go.
First time.
Here you go, Jarvi. What does Flash said to Batman? What's your superpower? I'm rich.
Yeah, but you gotta. The first generation has to get the money somehow. You're not rich from the get. No one's born rich.
Yeah, but on the planet,
people are born. I mean, but
I just used the Google machine. The Hutts of old in the EU actually started out as galactic conquerors, using huge slave armies and high-tech battle armor and giant warships to take down hundreds of worlds, which would still form the core of Hutt space.
Okay, so they did have armor. So they did. Okay, sure. But then they're just really. Well, it's gonna sound weird talking about Jabba and calling charismatic, but you have to be a charismatic leader to inspire people to start doing stuff for you.
Not if you have money.
Well, we're going in circles. We're not getting anywhere.
I mean, the Hutts obviously had some time. I don't understand the Hutts. If they're not physically intimidating, they had to deal with themselves first. If the Hutts they're all the same way, then they had to do something mind-wise to get their wealth. They got the wealth of the planet. Then they just went off the planet to get slaves and get money. Like they could just purchase. They needed to purchase at that point because the slave market was huge back then. So all they had to do was bring up money themselves. And once they had amassed enough money, they could buy slave armies. They could buy whatever they needed at that point. Really.
What
So,
Stardew just said. Like, they have to start somewhere. How did they get the power? How did they get the money?
How did Trump get power?
Oh, well, no. The more important question is, how did Trump's family first get the money? Because Trump was born, he already had his opportunities, but his family wasn't rich from when the first generation.
But I don't think they had to do anything big. It was just kind of like the face of they got business, they made business deals, they made money, they screwed people over, they did what they do. I don't think it's a physical thing at all. I think it's just all kind of backward deals.
Oh no, that's an answer already. Okay. Doing business deal. Okay, so Java did business deals.
Pretty much, that's what it was. Not Java, but the Hutts and everything. Because probably what happened back in the day is the Hutts just had a lot of battle with each other in terms of not physical battles, like who's going to control the Hutts, and so they did manipulating and behind the scenes stuff. I don't think they're very much physical. Supposedly in the EU 1 point, I know that they are physically intimidating. Like if you get close enough to a Hutt, they can grab you with the tail, and they're really super strong and everything else. But they don't show that too much in the movies or in the in the animated verse. But
I mean, the whole idea of the Hutts now is like it's a physical embodiment of gluttony. You see how Bib Fortuna got in that seat. He got really fat and really.
Yeah.
What if the Hutts of old were just super jacked and just went around just absolutely run and train on
I want to see a jacked Hutt. I need to see that.
Like a Hutt on HGH and EPO on the Hutts, and they're just walking around just jacked right, we're gonna take out the Mandalorian, take out the Jedi.
I need this.
Well, there we go.
I need to see this.
That.
I want to see a six pack on a Hutt.
Nice. Well, there we go. Anything last things you want to talk about the Clone Wars film before we wrap up, guys? Anything?
Sorry,
go
John,
ahead. Go ahead. I've been running into.
So it's just the one thing I did like about this was it was their kind of first the whole thing of the passing of the generations. Like for us, for my era, it was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan passing down to Anakin. This one is not only passing from live action to animated, but from Anakin to Ahsoka. It's that handing of the torch to the next generation. And it makes me think about where we could go further on, because at some point it's going to be Ahsoka passing it down to someone.
Right.
Who is that going to be?
Dave?
Could be Dave. It could be Fennec Shan.
Could be Fennec Shan. You never know. A lot of different things we could possibly do. All right, Trevor, what are your last thoughts? And I'll give my last thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
I wanted to talk about the overall look and the aesthetic of it, because that's one of I've been saying that all the time, that this is my big issues, but
You're cutting up a little bit, Joe. We're gonna take a second here.
Yeah, we lost you.
We lost for a second. Are you still there?
It's a good.
I think
we can hear you.
I can hear you guys.
Okay.
There you go.
You're coming back. You're coming back.
You're coming back.
I'm coming slowly. I just got new internet put in, so this should work.
Yeah, you're good. You're back.
Jarvi, come to the light. Come to the light. Wait, hold on. I shouldn't be saying that. Come to the dark.
But okay, so the one thing that I really enjoy about this style of animation is the fact that they gave the Jedi, Kenobi and Anakin, they gave them armor, and that is a really cool thing, because you don't get that in the movies. None of the movies have the Jedi wearing any armor. That's sort of like a small detail, but that sort of is a really cool thing that has inspired a lot of fan art. So having the Jedi wear armor, this got me thinking. In Revenge of the Sith, they do say that no, it might be actually Attack of the Clones. We're keepers of peace, not soldiers. But in the Clone Wars, they're definitely soldiers. They are being aggressive. They are attacking. They are pretty much like troopers fighting on the ground, which is a very interesting thing. It's sort of they embrace it with that armor as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's cool. That's a very cool aspect to it. Something I actually struggled to see what was going on with that. I was kind of, why are they doing that? But then, like, as I sat in, I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. I kind of like to see what they're doing with that. So,
And one of my like favorite things was the final, like the way that it's gonna sound weird saying how it was shot because it's not filmed, but the way that the Dooku Anakin fight was, I'm gonna say shot because there was a lot of close-ups. It looked awesome because usually my big issue with the animated lightsaber fights is it's sort of very fast. Like the movements are very fast, and the next moment you're clashing. I want to see like motions, like what happens. I want to see the beauty of the dance, the fight.
right.
But in the animated stuff, you don't. You sort of get these very fast cuts. But the
Shots.
final fight with Anakin and Dooku, that was like brilliantly sort of, I'm gonna say filmed again, but I really love the cinematography, if you can say that about animation.
No, that's cool. Actually, I will say the animation gets a lot better over the years too. And in part of the animation, it was like Lucas, as Lucas always does, he wants to like do everything in house and like create this whole new design or something or else. And Dave Filoni is pretty much very much voice to how it's all Lucas's money, which I know we always say Lucas is a billionaire, but like, compared to like having the company backing using Lucas's own money, it took a little while to develop everything they need to develop. And by the time Clone Wars was done, animation was a lot crisper, a lot smoother, a lot of everything else. This was like the first dipping their toes in to a degree. But I think it does get better over time as well. They had to they had to start a lot over with Rebels. Even same thing, they had to start over a lot of their animation stuff with Rebels because they had a different style and it. I remember stories like that. I don't know much about animation. I'll be honest, I'm not someone who's a um, know it all to tell you all the details on it. But I do know that watching it over through, you got definitely a sense of that. It was because the last Clone Wars cartoon, the last 7 seasons of Clone Wars was very beautiful. I thought animation wise, comparatively, especially compared to this movie at this point.
It's the physics as well, not just the look. It's the physics. Everything is so light and sort of, I don't know. This is the thing. Like, sort of, I feel like there has to be more like the people seem like they're all feathers. Like they just float around, they jump. I want like more thumping, more weight, sort of more power, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. It does make a lot of sense. I think
Another
what I
thing
meant
is,
earlier about when they did the last 7, like the last part of the Ahsoka versus Maul bit, towards the end, is they actually bring in like Ray Park. Or someone said Sam Witwer, different Darth Maul. Ray,
I mean, they did bring him in. He was there for the. If you go on YouTube and watch the behind the scenes of that of the making of that battle, Sam Witwer was there watching.
Right. But Ray Park actually they did motion capture for the animation. They actually so it was basically the animation was basically based on what Ray Park would actually be doing as Darth Maul, which is kind of a cool aspect to it. So I think hopefully they do that in the future too. But it was definitely worth it. I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful lightsaber duel, which we'll get to because you're going to stick it out, Jarvi, and do this with us. It'll be worth
And
it.
they're also going towards anime as well now. You have like the Visions show that's going to
Yep.
be anime. You
Yep.
have a lot of the High Republic is now going to be like a lot of anime stuff. So they're constantly pushing forward with animation.
Yeah, I think they'll get better and better as they go on. I do think that I will definitely give them that. But yeah, the last thing I will say about the Clone Wars film is that it's kind of I kind of mentioned it throughout, but it inspires me to say this is why I have faith in Lucasfilm and faith in Dave Filoni, even with some missteps here and there. I watch what they did with Ahsoka and Rex and how they introduced these big concepts of what happened in between, and there's a lot of rejection at first. It's almost like the prequels. A lot of things like years later, you go back and you realize what you missed or why it makes sense and more they do. So I'm almost to the point where I'm going to start giving them a lot more credit and a lot more faith because I think eventually we'll come back and see what it matters, and it will matter eventually. Ahsoka has come forward so much in people's lives. Rex has made a big impression on people after getting introduced in Clone Wars as well. That was kind of thing too. Was like the whole. I think about the Clone Wars again. This goes more into the series than the film, but the film is where it all started for us. Like the idea that all these clones, these nameless clones, as far as we knew, between episode 2 and episode 3, like we knew Captain Cody from episode 3, our Commander Cody from episode 3. That was his name. We didn't really know anybody else, really, per se. Actually, we did know Oddball. This was from Oddball at one point during the initial episode 3 space battle. But we got all these different names of characters, and they made them each so individual. And we knew that they were going to turn on the Jedi at the end because we already knew Order 66 was going to happen by the time we were watching this. They made us care about these characters, and I do this all the time, but I gotta give a shout out to D. Bradley Baker, who voiced these clones and makes such an individual voice for each different clone. It's not like you don't know who they are. Like Rex is different than Cody. Cody's from the Oddball. Oddball's from Bly. They have their unique Fives, Echo. They're very unique. Bad Batch for that matter. They're all D. Bradley Baker, but they're all unique voices, but yet they all sound similar because they have to, because they're clones. But it's an amazing piece of acting. That is such a unique talent. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit for it. The amount of characters he has to do and make it work. So hats off to him, and that's what I can see as well. That started in this film as well. So overall, my least favorite Star Wars film.
Same here.
Film, not gonna lie, it'll rank lower than anything else for me. Probably. What about you, Maddie? You're thinking back.
No, Rise of Skywalker will always be lowest for me. I think
lower than this one.
I think this is probably second lowest. I think Rise of Skywalker will be my lowest.
Wow!
I can't wait till we get to Rise of Skywalker. I wanna
strap in, boys, because I'm gonna be coming in hot that episode.
Oh boy! Here we go. Well, this. I'll talk about my love /hate for Rise of Skywalker later on. That's it. Jarvi, where can folks find you?
You can find me at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi on Facebook and Instagram. And the next episode we will be doing, I gotta shout this out, we're doing the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Yes, sir.
Maddie, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Maddie Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner, Clubhouse Maddie Gunner. You can find me tonight at 1 p.m. Pacific. I forget what that is Eastern. I always forget what it is Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. at the minute, which is weird, UK time, on the Wild Jones Podcast Network YouTube channel and on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Matty Gunner, Maddie Gunner TV, for the ONU MMA show, where we break down all the week's combat sports, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai. And yeah, come chat Star Wars with me, because if you have any thing about my opinions, because I know sometimes they can be a bit left of center, hit me up and we'll have I always enjoy good Star Wars conversations. So
all right, you can find me at Paul_News on Twitter. You can find me every week here on Scoundrels of the Force. Next week, Jarvi did mention we are watching his favorite movie of all time, a Star Wars movie of all time.
Might be my favorite movie of all time as well, to be honest.
Whoa!
Because it's seriously, it's my number 1 or 2 usually.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Episode 3.
It switches between Shawshank and Revenge of the totally different movies, but that's how it is.
It's awesome how much that's grown on your list and on mine as well. I love Revenge of the Sith, so I'm happy to talk about it always. I cannot stop from talking about it usually. Has definitely jumped my list. I would say it's probably my second favorite of all time, but I'd say second favorite Star Wars film of all time. Maybe third. It kind of goes back and forth.
Wow.
Yes.
It's funny because my drummer says the same thing, that it's his second favorite. So maybe I have to reach out to Sean and get him on, because I'm curious to know why. I feel like on this show, Jarvi's like Ezra, you're Kanan, and I'm Maul. I'm the one that's trying to get deep into his brain, pull him into the dark. And then Paul's like, no, don't listen to him. This is why you need to love this stuff.
We didn't talk about one of the biggest news, in my opinion.
He loses. We cut off the chart again.
Went out again.
You start talking about the biggest news, and then he drops out. I love how that happens. The biggest news. There you go. You're back.
Let me know when I'm back.
You're back. You're good.
Okay. It's the Mena Massoud casting rumor that he could be playing Ezra, live action Ezra.
That's true.
That is perfect casting, in my opinion. I love Mena Massoud.
Yeah,
Hasn't
he
been
could
getting
be
any
really good.
chances. I think he even talked about struggling. I think my connection went out again.
Nope, you're good.
You're good.
Okay, he talked about like having a hard time getting roles after Aladdin, which is kind of weird because it did well, and I think he did an awesome job. And he is exactly what Ezra looks like, and I feel like he has that sort of young, boyish energy about him that he's going to be perfect. I would love to get him cast. This sort of feels like as good as Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I'll be honest. This would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it at all. I mean, I'm hesitant to declare anything. I kind of feel like I know Masad had, like he said, he had a hard time getting
Mhm.
past. Like you mentioned that and everything else. So to me, this also kind of feels like the exact kind of thing. Someone who's like had a hard time getting cast. Like he wants to fuel these rumors because he just wants his name in the being talked about again. So no slight to him. I think I would do the same thing. You know, like, even if we just got like, oh, they're talking about me as Ezra Bridger, I'm gonna fuel that fire. Let's because if enough people talking about it, maybe they'll reach out and hire me, kind of thing. So until I see something more, I'm not gonna buy into it completely yet. But maybe we'll have to see how it goes.
He is in the Disney family, so
Yeah,
exactly. There's a
true.
connection there.
There is that connection. So I mean, I think it'd be great. I would like to see that. I would totally like to see that. So hopefully we'll move on on that. So thank you for bringing that up, Jarvi. I missed out on the. I didn't
At the very end when we're already wrapping up.
That's
Like,
okay.
one more news bit.
That's okay. You can find me on Call to Action every week. Doing Call to Action live tonight, talking about the other non-Star Wars matches of the week, including Brandon Hanna, great match against Eric Zipper, as well as Janine Machine versus Jada Paramo, and Bibiani versus Oyama. Great matches there. And also, you can find me on Action Industries. Ben Bateman, Drew Guy. We do shows every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tonight, the Action Guys going on. Talk about the Snyder Cut, I believe, tonight. That will be at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. And as well, I've been working my ass off producing for the FCL, the Movie Trivia Schmoedowns Developmental League. And that's going to go live on March 30th. I'm going to be in a couple of shows this week to be interviewed on some of the shows like GR, Schmoo Me the Money. And Chill to Action is going to have on Call to Action, going to have Brad Gilmore on, so we can talk a little bit more about it then tomorrow. I think that's it for now. As far as PLD projects go, I am going to be developing more on this channel eventually at some point. You heard mentioned earlier, I'm really close with doing a short form project about Queen. I'm going to go through some of all Queen's songs one by one, potentially.
If you're talking about the movie Bohemian Rhapsody,
eventually
I can be on.
Okay, I'll hold you to that one at that point. I'm going to try to go through like one by one, I think, song by song, and just have like little tidbits and stuff about each song. It'll be a long-term project.
I got a couple of Queen stories that might be
all right
for you. Because obviously my family has ties to Mr. Brian May. So
yes, they do. So if you want to ever jump on, definitely the door is always open. And beyond that, I will eventually do the Harris Dons. I still got to find a format to do that. I want to do that. I'm not going to do every other Harris movie. But yeah, that's it. Next time, same time is our new time for Scoundrels of the Force. It is going to be from now on 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and whatever it is for my European friends and family at this point. Next week we will be doing Revenge of the Sith, and we will have Ms. Bedore back on. So there you go.
Can't wait.
Have a great day, guys. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for showing us the love in the chat and hanging out with us for this hour and a half episode, especially on the least favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and that's okay. We gotta go with the bad, folks. And next week we get to reward ourselves by watching episode 3. So there we go. Next time, may the Force be with you. Always.
Take care.
may the Force ever serve you.